Well, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Blue Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Man, it is, oh my goodness, it is Saturday morning. I hope you guys are having a great day. And, man, I can't wait for football season to get here. I can't wait to actually see our Dallas Cowboys on the field. And you know what? We forget about things that happen and don't realize that things are a cycle. I don't know why we got all upset and worked up and excited about the possibility of signing free agents, early on, because Cowboys don't ever do that. They don't ever sign free agents early in free agency. Why would we think that this year would have been any different? Leopard doesn't change its spots. That's just what the Cowboys do. Stephen Jones, the penny pitcher, the same guy who threw his dad against the wall because he was going to be signing a big contract with Deion Sanders. We're talking about prime time. You're talking about a guy who was proven. And if he didn't want that guy, what would make you think that he'd want to take a chance on anybody else? So we know that that's not going to happen. We all get worked up because all the talking heads out there start saying, oh, well, this guy is linked to the Cowboys, or this guy will. It doesn't matter what those guys say. It doesn't matter what the players say. The only thing that matters is what does Stephen Jones say? And Stephen Jones and now Jerry Jones are saying we take a lot less risk. They just don't. Unless they're driving the car flying down the highway. That's a risk that they'll take. So, yes, I would have loved for us to have brought in some free agents. But what we seem to forget is the cycle that is. The Dallas Cowboys are, at the end of the season, the big disappointment. They're the letdown, waste of talent. Then we go through free agency. The Cowboys, of course, they suck. They're not getting themselves better by signing a bunch of free agents, right? Then it comes the draft. All of a sudden, the Cowboys are loaded with talent and, so on. And they get you thinking, okay, this is going to be a good year. And then the next cycle is the Eagles and Washington are better. Oh, and the Giants are better. And that's where the cycle is now. We're at that cycle of the Giants have improved themselves. This is Daniel Jones' chance to go ahead and prove himself and do things. Washington is better now because they have Carson Wentz, of course. That they were a close team last year, and now with Carson Wentz, the Hall of Fame pedigree that he has, according to Dan Orlowski, that they're definitely going to be better than the Cowboys. And then, of course, the Eagles. Eagles go out there in free agency. They end up getting wide receivers. They draft wide receivers. Of course, they're going to be better than the Dallas Cowboys. That's the cycle that is. If you go back to this time last year, this is exactly where we were. They were talking about, oh my God, the Washington football team. The Washington football team with that defense. And now, oh my God, they got Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzmagic is there. Fitzmagic is going to be better than anybody they've had in a long time. All of a sudden, he makes some magical things happen. The Washington football team, watch. Chase Young is going to take a whole nother step. Ryan Fitzmagic, he's better than Dak. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's better than Dak. That's what they told us, right? Chase Young shows up in the season out of shape, gets hurt, does nothing. Ryan Fitzpatrick can't make it through the first game, and they have a 4-game win streak. That's all they have of note. And they won the same amount of games they did the year before when everybody was down and won the division. The Eagles, hey, they played good. They had some good games and stuff in there, but still, they're not winning. So as we go through and we listen to the talking heads talking about how the Cowboys got worse because of free agency, I'm going to go ahead and turn this around a little bit because I feel like where we were last year coming off of Mike Nolan being the defensive coordinator and then us getting Dan Quinn had to fix all of the old stuff. He had to figure out who was going to be the guys that he wanted here in his system. And typically you don't have a turnaround on the defense the way you did last year. Here's where it gets to be really even more interesting, is you now start thinking about the possibilities of Dan Quinn taking the guys that he had last year. Sometimes we look at free agents and say, oh, you bring in a great talent, it's going to make you ultimately better. But there's still a learning curve for those guys to come in, that they have to learn your system. So what the Cowboys have in bringing back a J-Ron Curse, ended up getting a healthy DeMarcus Lawrence, ended up having a Micah Parsons coming back, having a Carlos Watkins. They may not be as good as some of the other players out there in free agency, but just from having the time in the system and understanding what their assignment is key. Because, see, here's the thing on defense. On defense, if one guy messes up the assignment, the whole defense can fail. One guy. One guy out of place. One guy showboating can ruin the whole thing. So from my standpoint, having some of these guys coming back is definitely a benefit. Having Dan Quinn's stamp, and here's the stamp that's kind of cool. When you think about Dan Quinn and what we brought in, as Will McClay, who, if the Cowboys ever lost Will McClay, they'd be completely shot. With the moves that Stephen Jones and stuff makes, the only thing that saved the Cowboys is Will McClay. When Will McClay talks about D. Williams, formerly known as Sam Williams, remember, he wants to be known as D because his middle name is DeGarrett. And I like to think of him like Billy D. Williams with Colt 45. Or Lando Calrissian, bring the force. This is what Will McClay had to say about him. Cowboys second rounder has speed off the edge that reminds Will McClay of great pass rushers. Rawness at the position. He's very raw. Upside like D-Ware. Pressure like DeMarcus Lawrence. When you turn on the tape, there's a blur of speed. That's the difference. And here's what's insane. We think about Randy Gregory and how he was off the edge. Randy Gregory was like a 4.7 40. Okay? 4.7. Billy D. Williams was a 4.46. Let me look at. I'm curious. I can't remember what Clowney's was. Was he faster than that or not? Because Clowney was the first guy that you really looked at that raw speed and said, oh my God. Wow. Okay, my mind is now blown. Because when we saw Clowney, holy moly. I want you to think about this. Billy D. Williams, 4.46 40. 6'4", 261. Clowney, 4'5'3". Clowney is 1 inch taller and 4 pounds heavier. That's it. So think about that for a second. When we saw Jadevon and Clowney go out there and run the 40 at the combine, we looked at him and said, generational talent with that speed. How are you going to stop that guy? You got a guy in the second round who is faster. You'll have a guy who is faster than Jadevon and Clowney was. And this goes back to Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn loves guys that are what? You guys know. I've said it a million times. I've played the video a million times. We want to be fast and physical. They have a certain type of individuals that they love. They love guys that are fast, that are physical, that have length to them. And you can see that in everybody that they draft and they bring into the Dallas Cowboys fold. They're fast, they're physical, they're big, they're mean, and they're nasty. So go ahead and let the talking heads tell you about how good, Washington's going to be, how good the Eagles are going to be. But understand, we continue to go through these cycles of thinking that the Dallas Cowboys are ass. And somehow, by the time the season gets here, they're usually pretty good. That's all I have to say on that. So it's time for me and Mike to get some work done. We're going to go hopefully see my man Jet D and get some burnt ends. And I'm going to get my behind back home because I got a lot of work to do. I got a lot of stuff I got to get to you guys. And so that's where we are. I hope you guys are having a great Saturday. Shout out to, let me give a shout out. We've started a GoFundMe for Stewart's. We're working on getting a trip down to not only meet Stewart, but to do some things to help him and his family with their house and stuff. Stewart's 79-year-old mom has been taking care of him and so on, and he has this rare form of cancer. Actually, hang on for a second. I can tell you. Well, if you guys can give me a second here, let me see if I can find it real quick. I should have already had it. Read exactly, if I can pull it up. Okay, this is in Stewart's own words. I know many of you have been waiting on an update. I received my official diagnosis, but I want to make sure I talk to as many close family and friends as I could before I started sharing with everybody. I wish it was all a bad dream and I'd wake up and this was not the case. The following is what the oncologist told me yesterday morning, maybe the day before. I'm exhausted, but in regards to my diagnosis, I can't even pronounce it, but it's spelled RHAEDO, sarcoma, sarcoma, comes from muscles, fatty tissue. It is highly aggressive, rare cancer, usually only found in kids. That's inoperable. The only way is chemotherapy. If they tried to operate, they would have to remove the whole liver, and that would still be cancer left. They're going to do what they can here, but I need to find a way to the MDA Anderson Clinic in Houston that specializes in cancer like these. These tumors are acting like parasites, eating my liver and contributing to my anemia. That's it for now, but thank you in advance for support and your prayers. And so that's exactly from Stewart in his own words. We're going to do kind of like a day of action, so to speak, or a couple of days. And we're going to go down. I'm going to take my tools. I'm going to take Michael, and my wife's going to go, and maybe Dan, Gina, and things. I know Mark Torres said he'll help do some stuff with us and things. But we're going to kind of help fix up the house and make everything comfortable for him and look out for his mom and stuff, who's been looking out for him throughout his time of being paralyzed. So keep Stewart in your prayers, everybody. And let me say shout out to Catherine Mariota, Wayne Zimmerman, Kathy Stearns, Lena Heatherman, Wendell Payton, and Brian Green, who have donated to helping out on the cause. Definitely appreciate that. And if you are a Facebook friend of Stewart's, or if you're a part of the Discord, go and just leave or a friend of his on Facebook, or friend him up on Facebook. Give him some kind words of encouragement and stuff, and let him know that you're thinking about him. And with that being said, it's time for me to go to work. I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and I will see you soon.